In episode number 395 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover publisher plans for digital and physical comic releases.
We also have Jim Lee's Instagram plan to help out local comic book shops through auctions.
We also discuss the state of the comic book store and industry.
All of this and so much more on today's episode.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am your almighty emperor, Kelli.
And I am Expert Daniel.
Expert? Ooh, what are you an expert in?
Unemployment at this point.
Oh,
you gotta make jokes of the things that hurt you.
I guess is that how we get through them?
I'm gonna find out.
So for those of you joining us for the very first time, the way we format the show is we start out with some news. We have our Patreon shoutouts, our Brocat blog, which is what happened with Daniel and I this week, and normally a comic book highlight, but Daniel actually has a list of trades that he's going to catch up on that he'll highlight for us.
First thing on our news this week, Anya Taylor-Joy from Split and Glass has met with Mad Max writer/director/creator George Miller and auditioned for a major role in a planned spin-off centered on Charlize Theron's Furiosa character.
Do we need this?
As long as George Miller's directing it, yes, we do.
Really? I was just not impressed with the last one.
I didn't like it enough to purchase it, but I'm happy we went and saw it in theaters. And I liked it enough to watch a prequel or a sequel that they end up doing. And Charlize Theron's amazing. She alone is worth watching it for.
Miller plans to start filming next year. I hope that you enjoy that, because the only thing I took away from the first one was that weirdo guy on the front of the car playing the drums, just like those little things from Moana.
I was reading that a lot of these actors now, because of the pandemic, have to audition via online and camera.
Goodness.
I wonder how much that's going to miscast so many roles.
Oh, so many.
And some people say, well, you're seeing them on the screen as you're going to see them when they're in the movie, but there's a whole presence that comes with auditioning in person.
Yes, and it's just like when you interview someone, if you don't do it in person, how are you going to... and it sounds weird to say this way, but like the vibe, right? Because when you talk to somebody, when you see somebody in person, you really get an understanding of, do I get along with this person? Do they just make me feel weird? Because sometimes you meet people and you're like, nope. Like, you said 2 words and I'm done.
Yeah, we've interviewed people before over online because they lived in a completely different place. They couldn't make it anywhere near where we were at and didn't turn out well in the end. So it's one of those things where they appear completely different on camera. And then when they actually show up to work or act in this case, it could be a whole mess. But I do wish George Miller lots of luck. Anya is a very talented actor, so I'm really looking forward to Furiosa, especially if Charlize returns.
Flipping over to the comic book side, writer Robert Venditti has started a #PullBoxPayItForward movement where he encourages people to call comic shops that are open and pay someone's pull box of the comic shop's choosing.
What's it called when they make up a name to be an author? Is it like a pen name?
Yeah.
That's what Robert has. He actually used to work at the Borders in Orlando down the street from the comic book shop. And that's the only way, that's the only reason I know it is because apparently he used to go to comic book stores and read books and everything. And then when he became a writer, he took on the name Robert Venditti. And from what I hear, very good people, and clearly is a good guy from this movement that he's trying to start up. On Twitter, @Robert Venditti said, quote, "The comics industry is a family. These are unsettling times, but we're all in this together. For the first Wednesday in my career, there aren't any new comics on New Comic Book Day. Here's how I've decided to help," end quote.
According to Venditti, the concept is extremely simple. First, call a comic book shop and place a phone sale. You put the money towards the pull box of their choosing. So you say, hey, pick a pull box. I'm going to put X amount towards their whatever they have in there. Second, the shop gets the sale and the customer gets their comics paid for. Customers can receive their books through curbside pickup or mail order. If those options aren't available, they still helps by keeping customers caught up when their shop reopens. Finally, you hang up and you spread the word to get more people to participate.
You see this very commonly in drive-thrus. I've been a benefit of a lot of that. Are you not a fan of that?
No, I'm not.
Why is that?
Because it's frustrating. Yeah, it's really cool when these pay it forwards start. And I used to get extremely excited about them because I was like, oh, this is such a great thing that you're willing to pay more. One, they don't last very long. You usually get like 2 or 3 cars, and then the third car is like, oh, that was nice of them. And I was like, no, that wasn't the point. But the second thing is, if you have that much money to pay for somebody else's, right? Because the people in that drive-through behind you are already expecting to pay that money. They already... Like, they can afford it, right? They're in the drive-thru because they can afford it. So, yeah, they feel nicer because you paid, they had their $10 or $15 item paid for, but you could have tipped the workers at $10 or $15.
Gotcha. There's where it is.
And so my thing, and I don't benefit from tips in my store, right? But that makes a huge difference in their life. So if you're just going to pay it for someone who, obviously they stop it right behind you, right? So they're not grateful for it. If you had told my employees, oh, here's $5 extra. Like, that's the best thing ever. They get so excited when there's a $5 bill in the tip jar because they're like, so if you have that money, give it to the employees who are working. Don't just give it to a rando.
All right, then. Well, thankfully, this is very different than that. The only thing that I can see in this possibly not working out, and I don't know if Robert has some kind of plan to actually confirm a lot of these things, is you do have to rely on the honesty of the comic book shop. Because it's still helping the comic shop because you're putting in $100 or whatever it is towards a store. But if they're not being honest and they're just tabling it, and yes, I guess it's still going towards a store, but the intention is to have someone's pull box paid for. Right. That would have been like, oh shit, that was really nice of whoever called in. And that's my only thing with it, because I've come in contact with some shops that I would consider shady. I don't know if they would ever pull anything like this, but shops that I think wouldn't operate in the way that they do, and their behavior online and the way they've acted towards other shops and even customers and employees. I'm like, yeah, I'm not too sure about this. The way I would do it is if the writers or if you yourself are a subscriber at a store and you know them already and it's your home store, that's what I think is the idea of this. Yeah, that's of course the idea, because you have to also think these shady shops, the people who are going there, they see that too. They get that feeling. They're going to understand, like, yeah, I come here every week because it's closer, but I don't trust them. Like, that's going to speak for themselves. So definitely. Another person who is helping out comic book shops in a pretty huge way, very unique, is DC Chief Creative Officer and Publisher Jim Lee, who has taken to Instagram to auction off 60 single DC character pieces each day, with benefits helping, quote, random comic stores to assist with the economic challenge they're facing. So 60 every day, not like one a day for 60 days. One a day for 60 days. Oh, okay. I thought it was 60 a day. I was like... It's Jim Lee. Even, I don't think, there are probably comic artists that can do that, but Jim is never going to be that artist. And the way he has set up these rules is whoever wins the auction gets to pick who the next character is, but it cannot be a character that has been chosen before in this 60-day challenge. Okay. And it has to be a DC character. So this prevents it from being 60 Harley Quinns or 60 Batmans or whatever. Should be 60 Batmans. I don't know how he's going to choose these comic stores that are going to benefit from this, but that's 60 stores that are probably going to get easily over $1,000 for each of these pieces. And whichever comic store ends up getting the Catwoman, the Batman, the Harley Quinn, the monetary benefit of those is gonna be huge. Those are going to be like the multi-thousands easily. That's amazing. I would love one of these pieces. Please, Jim Lee, just donate to me. Well, you can try paying. Have fun. But that is really cool. You can definitely tell that he is also working from home. He's not in the office if he has time to draw these. But it's wonderful. I love seeing stories like this of people who work for companies, who are heads of companies, who say, no, we need to give back to our community right now because we're in the position where we can and they need it. And some people were saying that, well, he should do what he does best and maybe not worry so much about running the whole publishing thing, which is kind of a backhanded compliment in a way. But I'm also seeing it as like, well, you know what? He is using his talents to help out in a very direct way. So as with everything, no matter how you try to help, someone's going to try to find a way to bring you down or complain about it. They're going to poop on it.
Keeping on with some comic book news, the news that you were waiting for especially. You're excited by some of this and not so by others. Mm-hmm. But in spite of Diamond suspending physical books to comic shops, Archie is moving forward with digital Wednesday releases and physical deliveries to books already printed directly through their website subscription customers.
So this is all straight through Archie.com or ArchieComics.com, whatever it is. Just like you remember as a kid, those little cutout order in comic ads. I guess they've still been running those, and it makes sense because they're a long-term company and there's going to be a lot of old-time readership that is going to be on board with them. So they get their books delivered directly to them, and they must have gotten those copies themselves and are going to be delivering those. And I don't know if they have a separate printer themselves, although it sounds like they went through Diamond too, because we have a little bit more detail on this. April 15th's releases will be the final round of new books from Archie, because they did suspend all production for the next couple of months. So it sounds like they got that batch that ended through their own direct shipping and are only giving it to their Archie subscription customers, which I think is fine, especially since they're suspending the printing. So they're already going, look, this is just because all of these are already produced and we happen to get them, and we're going to take care of the Archie subscribers.
That one I understand, right? Because it is still a physical copy of the book. They have subscribed to it. I'm sure any comic book store would do the same if they could, if they, had them already printed, had them in. Yeah, you subscribed. Here you go. This is great. This next piece is where it gets a little dicey for me. So in a press release, they said, quote, "We are also indefinitely delaying all of our planned releases for new direct market focused comic book projects originally scheduled to launch in late April through July. Our graphic novels and book market releases, such as Archie's Comics Presents, our Giant Comics series, and reprint titles such as Archie and Friends and Betty and Veronica Friends Forever, will continue as digital titles with print releases depending on printer and distribution channel availability. These are titles that primarily serve channels outside of the direct market, which are currently still operating just at a reduced capacity," end quote.
Yeah, that's kind of crummy that they're still moving forward with those digital releases. Thankfully, those are mainly tiny, small, absolutely non-affecting titles, at least to my comic store. I don't have a massive Archie readership, and I think much like every other comic reader, they would still opt to get their regular print subscriptions or releases whenever that may be.
My concern is if they do this, they see success, maybe others will jump on board with this and just say, well, yeah, let's just release digitally in the meantime.
Where there are several publishers who are not opting to release digitally at all. In contrast, Dark Horse Comics, like hours after Archie did this, vowed to not distribute comics either physically or digitally until they're available at physical stores.
They said, quote, "We still have collections, OGNs, and art books shipping through our bookstore distributor, Penguin Random House, from whom comics retailers can also order. Those respective titles will be made available digitally the same day they are available from retailers," end quote. That comes from Mike Richardson, who's the founder and publisher.
Do you think that had anything to do with Archie coming forward?
Yes. They were like, no, listen, we're not going to do this to people. We're not going to do this to comic shops. We're not going to want a little bit of profit now and potentially shoot a bunch of people in the foot later.
Exactly. And there's a whole debate to that, but I want to touch on that after we go through what Marvel and DC had planned for these new comic book day releases.
Marvel said, we're greedy bastards. Don't buy our book.
Quite the opposite, actually. Kind of nice.
Marvel shortly after confirmed that they would not be releasing digital books that were to release on April 1st.
Who is this company?
I don't know.
Did they get hacked? What's going on here? Who are you?
They were hacked by DC.
Marvel Comics has informed retailers that a, quote, larger scale plan, end quote, is being worked on by them and Diamond for future books delayed by the coronavirus pandemic. So, to be clear, they're still not making books returnable, which is what we've been asking for since day one. However, denying digital releases, I think, is a step in the right direction.
You want to know what their bigger plan is? What they're going to continue?
What do you think they're going to do?
They're going to release 6 covers to every book, so you have the potential to make more money.
Probably. They'll find a way. But after Marvel publicly announced their digital book delay, DC changed their digital plan to also not release books on April 1st. They had initially said they were going to release a select number, but now they've changed their mind because of Marvel's plans there made publicly.
However, DC did announce full returnability to comic stores for books released from now until June and is currently seeking different printers for a low-scale run of releases in the near future.
So a little bit of give and take there. I didn't like that DC was initially going to go forward anyway with the digital releases, and I'm glad that they did change their mind. And at the end of the day, their books are still returnable up until, I think, until June or something. And they'll probably extend it if needed if we get even further delays in this market. So because of all of this going on, there was a lot of fighting between physical book buyers and the digital book buyers. They immediately had a fucking fit over all these publishers because they were saying, how come I can't buy my books as a digital reader just because they want to cater to the retailers and the brick and mortar stores?
What do they not care about humanity? Do they not care about people and businesses and small businesses and understand how this would tank those small businesses? Because then the people who don't really care about getting the physical book, but usually do, would just say, oh, let me just buy it over here and then never go back to buy that physical book that's already on their pre-order. They would kick it back. What is wrong with people? I don't understand.
A lot of people immediately called them out of like, why don't we just put thousands of people out of work just so you can get your digital funny book a few weeks early? Why don't we just do that for you?
Just for you. Let's just cater to you, apparently, because we don't want to cater to other people.
There's a bigger loss at hand if you release these things digitally than if you delay them for a month or two. The decision is very obvious. That to me is like, all right, that's the right decision. And some of the other people were saying there's a lot of worry too that during these months of no physical book releases, that there's going to be a change in readership where a lot of people will convert to digital reading instead, because that's all that's going to be available for the next couple of weeks. But that was already something that came up about a decade ago, right? When the digital market first became a thing and people were saying this is the end of comic book stores. Turns out they took about 10% of the business and it's maintained that. It hasn't gone up massively over the years, and it turns out, much like record collectors, people that want to read physically are gonna stay physically. And you and I are testament to that, because as we've tried before, yes, we've tried digital books. Not that we went, all right, now let's buy digitally. No, we redeemed those free codes that they used to include in the books, and it's like, all right, let's try that. Can't do it. I can't have the panel that's being laid out for me. I even tried it on an iPad. I thought that was the issue. I'm like, well, you know what? It's probably because it's on my phone. Let me try it on an iPad where it's comic book size-ish. And even then, I'm like, I really can't do this shit. It's not the same, and it doesn't feel right, and it's not how I grew up with it. The colors look different on digital. It's just not the same experience.
Okay, Gen 1er.
Fine, call me. I'm a Gen 1er. So be it.
The thing about comic books, though, is the way the pages are laid out do not lend themselves well to reading it digitally or reading it on a phone, or where you have to zoom in to look at specific panels, because a lot of times the way it's formatted is so you get the full picture, right? When you look at this, and having a full spread page of Batman and then zooming in on his words doesn't give you that full experience. And I believe I've talked about it before. There are like Webtoons, right? And a lot of times I think they're from Korea, but like Korean comics are made to be read digitally. So they all go up and down rather than a full page where you have to read left or right. And until they change comics that way, it's not going to take off digitally, because exactly like you said, you don't get the full experience. You don't feel as satisfied. It's just frustrating to try and zoom in or click forward on your TV or whatever.
And to me, that would be a frustrating day if if that change ever happens where they have to convert comics so that they fit the phone or that vertical panel, because now you've taken away panel size from the artists. They do all kinds of creative things already with the full page spread, the different sizes on each one, and they emphasize a lot of the action and characters through that. And I think you take all of that away when you leave it to a button scroll. And it's unfortunate. I understand that the artists will somehow adapt and try to make it work, but it won't have that same impact anymore. And that's my whole take on it, and I don't think that's going to change from now.
That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Be on your soapbox, like
I'm consistent. That's what I am. Sometimes.
Most of
the time. Here's some stuff that we are getting at the end of 2020 that Viz just announced. A new Super Mario Brothers manga collection is coming to North America this winter.
The digest will collect 160 pages of unpublished Japanese stories.
You know how often I get parents coming in, he wants a Mario comic book. And there's simply, it happens all the time. And it's really, I don't know why. It's kind of bizarre, but it's like, sure. We had this, they published last year a Super Mario Brothers manga, large oversized thing that has since gone out of print and haven't been able to get. But that was one I was reordering almost every single week.
Wow.
The kids are hungry for that shit. They love it. And once this goes through, I hope that more Nintendo content comes out. I hope they do a Metroid one if this is successful, even if they're reprints. Hell, do the Nintendo Power ones. All of those, print them up, throw them in a collection. I'll sell that from now until the end of time.
I would not have guessed that people are looking for, like, Mario. Like, I've never once looked at Mario and been like, this should be a comic book.
Well, it works because the Pokemon manga sells all the time. The Legend of Zelda, Kingdom of Hearts, all of those still do really well. So Mario being one of the biggest video game things ever absolutely needs a manga.
Interesting. Maybe I'll check out the Mario. Speaking of Mario, I saw a meme today that said Joe Exotic is Steve Irwin's Wario.
Oh, that makes sense. That's absolutely true. That's a good one. It's a really good meme.
It was great.
With that, we do wrap up our news for this week, but it is the first episode of the month, so we've got What's New on Netflix, the April 2020 highlights.
Doom, doom. First up, we have Community, all 6 seasons. I don't even know what this is.
I included it because it's one of those shows that I always get of people telling me that I need to watch it. I need to watch Parks and Rec, and then Community is the other one.
I did not like Parks and Rec. I watched like the first 3 episodes and it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's not for me either. Another one on my list is Lethal Weapon 1 through 4, starring Mel Gibson. I've seen a few of these as a kid when my parents were watching them on TV, but I've always wanted to actually sit down and check them out and give them a full go. And now that all 4 are on there, I'm like, all right, I'll watch the first 2 for sure, because I have a feeling that they just went to shit 3 and 4, but who knows, maybe not.
I've never seen any of these either, so we will have to check them out. Next on the list, we have Minority Report with Tom Cruise and Spielberg.
I like Steven Spielberg, and this is another one that I never watched. It came out there in a period where I was working a lot, and I think that's when I was working at AMC and IHOP at the time, but this is one that it was just at a time where I wasn't really watching movies, so I will be checking that out for sure.
Speaking of Tom Cruise, what's up with his teeth?
What's going on with him?
He's got a tooth right in the middle of his face.
Oh, no shit. Yep. One of those. Yeah. So it's an operation then.
Yeah, I think they're fake. So, like, I've spent too much time on Facebook.
Yeah, you do.
Just especially the last few days. And yeah, somebody pointed out, and they're like, oh, look at his face. It's all weird. And I was like, whoa.
He's also really short. You knew that, right?
Yeah, I did know that. Like, he stands on boxes and stuff for scenes.
Another one is Mortal Kombat, which was for many years the best live-action video game adaptation.
Oh boy, in the dark ages, apparently.
I liked it as a kid, and I still think it's hilarious.
Next up, we have Pokemon Sun and Moon Season 3.
Hopefully they don't change the theme song from Season 2, which is the greatest Pokemon theme song from the show.
No, I gotta tell the story today. This man pulls up YouTube, and he's like, are you ready to hear a better Pokemon theme song than the original? And I was like, don't believe it. And he's like, no, it's so true. And he played it, and it's not true. The original is still the best.
That's because you decided before you even heard it that you weren't going to like it.
Because I already know nothing can top the original.
You're like the opposite of MCU fans where they already decide they like the movie. Let me ask you,
when you hear this new one, do you get an emotional feeling listening to it?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. It's like...
You just showed your age 100%. That was such a dad thing. Okay, but when you listen to the original from season 1, do you also get an emotional feeling?
Not anymore. Not as much.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I still get psyched. I'm like, yeah, we're going to catch some Pokemon. I think I like the theme song more than I like the actual show.
I could see that.
100%. Like, I just get so stoked. Every time I hear that, I'm like, it's going to be a great day. We're going to kick some ass. We're going to do some stuff. Conquer the world.
Use illegal Pokemon moves.
Yeah, let's do it.
Every Pokemon's wrong sizes. All Charizard is gigantic for whatever reason. Same with Pikachu.
We didn't care. We were like 9 or 8 or I don't even know.
Neither did the showrunners. They're like, fuck it. Whatever works for the TV.
They're like, kids like this shit. Whatever.
It's not going to last a year. Another one on here is True Cinema from Mr. Scorsese. It's Taxi Driver.
I do like Scorsese. Never seen Taxi Driver.
The man knows cinema.
But I have heard a lot of really great things about Taxi Driver, so we'll have to watch it. We also have The Matrix 1 through 3.
I would have also liked if The Animatrix was on there. I think that would have been a good one to couple in with this, but still a really good deal for Netflix. I think a lot of people are going to jump back on and watch this trilogy during this quarantine period.
Did you ever try to dodge bullets as a child?
No,
you're
we
lying.
never played that.
You're lying.
How do you try to dodge bullets?
Because you were like, Nyah.
Like, did I actually try to do that move? Not that I remember. No,
you did. You're lying. Everyone who saw the commercial for The Matrix tried to do that move. 100% of people. I'm calling it. Let me know on Twitter at Kelli.
Last Netflix highlight is Django Unchained from Quentin Tarantino. That scene where Leonardo hits the table and they hadn't moved that glass that was set down and he cuts his hand and he's like picking glass out of it. Like, that shit is amazing. I love seeing the actor's reaction of like, oh fuck, but he kept going with the take. And that's when they made up the scene of him like smearing the blood on the girl's face. So fucking good.
Was his real blood that he smeared on her face?
In that take, I don't know. I don't think it was, but they used it as like, all right, well, maybe we'll write. There was rumors that he just went ahead and ad-libbed all of that and continued, which I wouldn't put it past Leonardo, but I doubt that portion of it was actually his blood.
That wasn't what he won the Oscar for, though, was it?
He actually lost that year, and he was nominated for that, and people were like, the man he can't even cut his own hand in a take and win an Oscar.
But then he won for the one where he fought the bear?
The Revenant. That was like a year or two later.
Okay. As long as he won. I thought it was legitimately going to be that meme where he never wins and then they make a movie about it and the guy who plays him in that movie wins.
Right. No, he got his.
That would have been perfect.
But these are amazing highlights for this month. Lots to keep you busy. Mm-hmm. As we said, I think, if you want to see the full list, you can Google what's new on Netflix April 2020. But these are some that excited us and ones that we're going to give a watch now that there's a little bit more time.
But with that, we can move into our Patreon shoutouts. These are our thank yous to everyone who makes the show possible.
We've got 5 shoutouts this week. First one goes out to Alexander on Twitter at Swordfish Show. His official website is purpleswordfish.com, which redirects you straight to his YouTube channel.
Alexander said, quote, Animal Crossing is my game of the year so far. Also, it's the only game I've purchased twice. One for me, one for my wife. End quote.
I hear nothing but great things about Animal Crossing.
I have never played an Animal Crossing, and I've never been tempted to play an Animal Crossing.
That's funny because you really like the Harvest Moon games,
Love
and
Harvest
this is a similar concept of working, getting money, building your house up.
Yeah, but this one has like a weird-ass raccoon who's hitting you up for money. I don't know.
It's real life.
Listen, I think it just didn't appeal to me because I don't like the designs. They're real blocky and they got some triangle noses. And like, I would rather one play Harvest Moon where you can fall in love. Can you fall in love in this game?
I don't think so.
Well, see, there's the problem. Or 2, play The Sims, which The Sims 4 is like $6 right now. And I could just download it for $6.
Is that the latest one?
Yeah.
When did that come out?
Pretty recently, like I think within the last year or two.
Okay.
Something like that. But then you have to buy the expansion packs, right?
Sure.
So the expansion packs are still $20, but the base is only $6. But then I would have to download it on my work computer, and I don't want to explain that one to my boss.
One last thing about Animal Crossing. The Brokehead Core, Bobby and Scott ended up making the Reasons I'm Broke logo patterns in Animal Crossing. There's a feature in the game where you can I think take a picture or scan in or upload an image and it'll translate it into a pattern. And then you can use it on your town. You can wear it as an outfit. Someone online made the old VHS tapes, like the blank ones.
Yeah.
And made those into patterns, and it fucking works out.
There's a lot of Bulbasaurs. I've seen a lot of Bulbasaurs.
Tons of those. Someone made a Bulbasaur cap. Did you see that? Where it looks like the bulb?
I did.
Man, these fucking people get creative.
Is there a demo? Can you download a demo?
I'm sure there's a demo.
Just
yeah.
play it. See what you think.
I'm sure I'll like it just fine, but I don't know. Like maybe now I do have some time.
You got some time now.
Part of that too is like, all right, well, I've got this extra time. Do I spend it playing video games or do I make more content for the show and really
both?
I can try to do both.
You can record yourself playing video games.
Not quite. The Switch doesn't really support that.
Oh, I tried, guys. I was trying.
Next shout out this week goes out to Lourdes and Katie. Katie's on Twitter at CatCatFluffs.
Katie subscribed to Batman Adventures Continues.
Very much, because who shows up for the first time in Batman the Animated Series continuity?
Slade, of course.
Deathstroke in this. They're not calling him Slade Wilson.
Oh,
they're not
I'm sorry.
Pussyfooting around like they did in Teen Titans. They're actually calling him Deathstroke.
Ooh.
And it's written by Paul Dini.
Oh, well then you have to.
So it's going to be the greatest Deathstroke comic book anything ever.
Our next shout out goes out to Bobby, whose Twitter handle is at Cuban Slim.
Bobby tweeted out, quote, "Hey, Tom King, would you consider being a guest on the Reasons I'm Broke podcast? This is an award-winning podcast that has a huge listener base that are fans of your work," end quote.
Damn right you should be on our show.
If you haven't retweeted that by Bobby, give him a retweet if you want Tom King on the show.
Did he tweet the right Tom King?
Yeah, that's a good question. I hope y'all have been seeing what Tom Taylor and Tom King have been doing, because apparently they get confused with one another all the time on Twitter. And Tom Taylor was trolling, made his profile picture almost exactly like Tom King's, same pose, same DC hat. They've since now switched profile pictures. They're acting like one another on Twitter, taking pictures of their dogs just like Tom King normally does, and confusing everyone completely.
They're getting the most out of this quarantine.
Yeah, they have a lot of fucking time on their hands. Go write some shit. I also want to say that Bobby is going to be on the next episode, one of two episodes that we're releasing each week, so extra content for all of you. And we recorded that episode before I got laid off, so just a heads up, that's a note for next week's episode. But Bobby gives us great insight into managing a tabletop gaming store.
Our next shout out goes out to John, whose Instagram is at Johnny2Chips. And he also has a YouTube podcast that I can't even pronounce that.
I believe it's Dom Chiodo. Chiodo. Dom Chiodo Show.
Cool. That sounds exciting.
I know he's been doing streams through the comic shop that he works at, and now he's doing a full-on podcast with someone, which is awesome. More content by John. He showcased his Robot Chicken DC Comics variants collection. He has an amazing comic book collection, and it's kind of nice to see his modern books as well. I consider those modern, even though they came out 4 years ago or whatever, but those are hilarious. Just all the Robot Chicken puppets or toys, whatever you want to call them, recreating certain covers or just being goofy.
I miss Robot Chicken. That was one of my favorite shows for a really, really long time. And then they would do all those specials, like the DC specials were just hilarious. And when that show was in its prime, I absolutely loved it. I don't know, is this still going on? Whatever happened to it?
It's still going on, but I think they do it as they can. I don't know if they have a consistent schedule, but I thought I heard Seth Green talking about it recently.
Wow. Such a good show. If you've never checked it out, I feel like everybody's seen Robot Chicken at some point. You can usually find YouTubes of them. Pretty fantastic.
Final shout out this week goes out to Neil on Twitter at nmats68 or on Instagram at nmats.photography.
Neil said, quote, "I took advantage of the rain today to get more shots of the weather. Still working on getting shots of the rain," end quote.
And this was accompanied by a gorgeous set of leaves, all drizzled in water droplets. And he's, as he mentioned, working on more photography. Is that something that you used to do as well? Get close-up shots of plants, flowers, all of that? Oh, yeah,
absolutely. Facebook on this day reminds me of when I used to be really big into photography, and it kind of felt like every week I was posting, something else, something that I really enjoyed. It's something that I would love to get back into. It just takes a lot of time. Very, very relaxing. But of course, with a little one now, most of my pictures are of him. And with my new phone, I take better pictures of him. I do take a picture of coffee almost every day, though.
That's funny.
Like when something's just beautiful, I'm like, that's gorgeous. Take a picture.
So thank you so much to Neil, John, Bobby, Lourdes, and Katie, and Alexander this week for your Patreon support.
If you too would like your shout out every single month, for as little as $1 a month, that's only 25 cents an episode, sometimes less if there's an extra week, you too can have your Patreon shout out.
And if you've ever considered backing us on Patreon at all, now is a great time to jump on. As I mentioned, I did get laid off today, actually, and I am now a full-time dad/husband/ podcaster, and this is it. This is when I'm like, all right,
job.
This is what I do now.
Our Patreon is your income.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to be until I'm able to apply for unemployment, and that website is going down. I checked it earlier today, it was down, and then I got to finally get on and log on, and they told me I can't actually start until Sunday because that's like the next quote-unquote pay period I would have gotten. Mm-hmm. So I still don't know. I haven't gotten through with that. I've never done unemployment, and I'm thankful for that, but I'm going through that now. And it would a lot of Patreon existing patrons came forward and upped their pledge in a huge way. And it's some of this, it's like, holy crap, like it's really helping. And then a lot of new Patreon backers jumped on to help us out as well. So huge thanks. It's obviously still something that's not anywhere near where I can absolutely always do this as forever, but this helps in softening that blow for that now non-paycheck that I'm getting until I can actually get this unemployment up and coming. But until then, fulfilling my promises, right? I'm going through with more podcasting, more live streams, more content for all of you whenever I'm not watching Leo. So that's my full-time dad duty at that point. So when you're off work, that's when I can start all of this and interact. But in the meantime, throughout the day, I will be on Discord. I will be on Twitter. If you want to interact, I am much easier to catch these days. And once again, that's going to be
hands. What?
That's going to be at patreon.com/thereasonsI'mbroke.
Every little bit helps. Every little bit is much appreciated. But of course, let other people know about us as well. Everybody got a lot of time on their hands. You have 8 hours of podcasts to listen to. Add another hour. Just add it on to somebody. And hopefully we can be there and make their day a little bit brighter too.
Let's head into our comic book highlights of the week. And as we all know, there is no new comic book day. And I did end up actually picking up a number of manga and trades that the shop owner he said, we can pick out some for this quarantine period and as a thank you for what we're going through. And I picked up some books that I'd always been wanting to read or stuff that I've never read before that had been recommended to me. So at some point this week, I will be going through Berserk Volume 1. That one was recommended by Scott from Lazy Gaming Guys. It's from Dark Horse Comics. From what I understand, it is a very explicit manga, but supposedly one of the best out there. And it's one that we've carried at the shop for many years, and it's always consistently sold. So I'm like, you know what? It's got to be good then, right? It's got a long shelf life for it. And I got 2 more manga, The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, and also A Link to the Past, a couple of Zelda mangas. I've never read any Zelda mangas, so I'm excited to dive into those. One of the DC Inc. books is Harley Quinn Breaking Glass. These are the lines that are made and aimed at younger readers, young adults. And it's one that I know all of these DC Inc. books do really, really well among teens. The artwork is amazing by Steve Pugh, so that's another one that I'm going to try to finish this week. And also V for Vendetta by Alan Moore. I've seen the movie. I've flipped through the book many times. I've flipped through the original comics even when we had them at some point, but I've never actually read the full title from beginning to end. This is it. From DC Vertigo, I'm going to be reading, probably V for Vendetta is going to be the first one. Also picked up some stuff for little Leo.
Yeah, you did. You got 2 DC Friends books. So there's one with Batman and one with Superman. He's in love already. He's carried those books around everywhere and he likes to flip through them. They're little golden books, yes. I believe. And then you also got him V for Vendetta. But you got him, so it's the series after Captain Underpants. So it follows a dog and a cat who are superheroes, but still written by, and I don't even remember his name. But my brother was absolutely obsessed with these books when he was younger. And as Leo grows, especially, I know it'll be one of his favorites as well.
Yeah, that one's called Dogman and Cat Kid. And it's written by something Pilkey is the name.
Carl.
But yeah, is it Carl Pilkey?
No, maybe not. I don't know.
Carl Pilkington.
That's what I was thinking of. It's definitely not. Yes, but I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm glad he liked the little golden books.
He did.
I
thought they were a little too old for him, but he really took to them right away. He's really getting into a stage where he loves books, and he loves flipping through them and pointing out all the different things, and we have to say what they are.
Which is pretty fascinating because he does play little kids' games on the iPad, like interactive ones, the ones that are teaching him how to play, and some that are just fun.
Beamy Boo!
And he still has an affinity towards physical books as well, which is really interesting because it's not a matter of, well, if they grew up on screens, that they can't grow up on regular books. And many years of kids shopping in my store have already disproven that, right? Because they also like comic books. They also like books. So I think it's just a medium that's a one medium and this is another one. They're both enjoyable and you can enjoy all of them.
You didn't give me anything.
I asked you if you wanted books or manga. I even offered Sailor Moon because you like Sailor Moon. You said no because you don't have time to read. You haven't even read the books on the table, so I believed you completely.
Because I've been reading other books on my phone.
Yeah, and Facebook.
And a lot of time on Facebook. But there's so many great memes out right now. There's so many Tiger King memes. You know whose fault it is that I didn't read those books?
I know what your answer is.
Carol fucking Baskin.
That's fucking...
That bitch Carol Baskin. I saw another great meme. It was the Tiger King sitting there, and he's out front of Baskin Robbins, and it zooms in on just the basket. It says triggered.
That's really funny. Let's get into the Brocat block then.
Yeah.
What have you been up to this week?
I got to go back to work. That was exciting. I guess this was like my third day back at work. Really, really excited to be back. Of course, our sales are like half of what they were. Our hours are shorter, but we're there. My employees are excited to be there. We're just having a really great time, deep cleaning a lot of things because we have the opportunity. But it's wonderful to just kind of be back out in the community and be able to help people. We're getting a lot of people who pull through who are like, it's really fantastic. We're glad that you're here. Thank you for bringing normalcy. We're close to a hospital, so we get a lot of hospital workers too who are getting free coffee right now, and they're only supposed to get like a plain hot coffee or a plain iced coffee. And I'm like, give them whatever they want. Like bring it in, but whatever. I don't even care. They're doing a lot for us right now. So that's primarily been my week. Getting to spend more time with Leo, right? Because we have shortened hours, so I'm home a little bit earlier most nights, or I get to go in a little bit later. Spending a lot of time with my parents because, there's nowhere else to go. But I do enjoy spending time with them. So it's been good. I've been looking at a lot of Tiger King memes too.
Next week, whatever my update is, will be a week's worth of non-work. So that'll tell you how everything's going.
Not non-work, just full-time dad work, which is way harder than actual work.
It is. That's what I was telling the owner today. And he was like, oh, so you just get to play around. And I was immediately like, no. He's like, I know.
I saw a great tweet that says, what a time to not have a child.
That's true.
And I love Leo with my whole heart, but I am not cut out for stay-at-home mom life. It is tough.
Even though I'm no longer getting paid or furloughed is what they're calling it, right?
Yeah.
Where you're laid off, but there's an intention to eventually hire you back if there's a store at the end of all this, because who knows how long this is going to go or what loans are going to get approved. There's a lot of uncertainty, which I hate. So right now I am prepping as if like there is no store in the future because I have no idea. And yeah, the certainty of that, the chances are low, but you never know what could happen.
Of course.
Or how bad this will get. So if this is what I have to do until I either find another job or whatever income I can get now, then this is how I have to treat it. And that's always kind of been the way. There's a difference between panicking and just being prepared. And I think there's a balance there. And that's kind of what I'm trying to hit right now. So that's what I've been focusing on, and hopefully y'all enjoy the extra content, the extra interactions that are going to be coming forth this week. I'm going to keep everyone updated through Twitter, Facebook's lives, all that stuff, whatever I can get my hands on through Discord. Make sure to join that if you haven't already. It's on the description of today's episode. But I'm also going to keep in touch with customers through the store's page. I guess I don't I don't know, I guess I don't have to, but it's something that I want to do and something the owner and I talked about doing anyway, of like maybe our own little Facebook streams just to stay in touch with the customers, and we want to know how they're doing as well. So there's a lot of that's happening, and that's really what the Bro Cat Block is. I'm not legitimately concerned about getting sick with the virus because I've gone to work as much as I can and I'm happy for it and I've been grateful for it. And I've never once, like, yeah, I've been cleaning and taking care and washing my hands, but I've never been fearful of like, oh no, like some of these people are, and that's fine. Everyone's different and everyone's going to react to this in a whole different way. And maybe some of them have been seriously injured. I know some people had gone through chemotherapy in the past, so their immune system is completely compromised. I totally understand it, but I'm thankful that fear hasn't been on me yet, and at least to this day. So for now, I'm healthy, as you mentioned earlier. We're healthy, and hopefully it remains that way since you do get to go to work, which is awesome. You run that risk, but it's what you like to do also.
And I also don't feel at work that I'm compromising our family by going, because exactly like you said, we're cleaning every 30 minutes, right? We're all washing our hands. We're making sure that we're not directly interacting with people who are coughing everywhere, and there's always a risk, right? But I could go to the gas station today and that was a risk, and I had to go to Publix or somebody delivered my groceries and that was a risk. Like, it doesn't, me going to work, I don't feel is any more risky than me doing anything else or picking up groceries or dinner, or like I said, just driving somewhere with a window down, right? You never know at this point. But I really encourage all of you to stay home if you can. Go to work, come home. That's it. People are, you even saw people are still going out and going to workout classes. And they posted that there's going to be a farmer's market this weekend. And I'm like, why? Just stay home and let's get over this faster.
And thankfully, they finally canceled this local yoga group that was outdoors near where we are.
But the police had to go and sit, and it shouldn't have gotten to the point where the police had to go and sit where they meet to keep 40 people from sweating on each other.
Right. And it was a real close quarters thing. Every time I went back there, it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Right.
Like, get the fucking virtual shit going and do it at home, and just like every other gym is doing.
It's just extremely frustrating in all of this to see how much people don't care or say, well, it's not going to affect me or it shouldn't matter and I'm just going to do what I want because I can't take my freedom. Like, that's not what any of this is about. It's about making sure that we have enough space, enough ventilators, enough things that people need to keep more people alive when they catch this. Because 70% of people are going to catch this. It just depends on, do you want all the rooms to be filled and we all catch it right now? Or do you want it to be 70% of people over the next year when people have recovered and now there's space and now there's people who can take care of them?
You heard it first. You're gonna get it.
Stay the fuck at home. Have you seen, they wrote, so there's the book Go the Fuck to Sleep.
Yeah.
And so they rewrote it and it's called Stay the Fuck at Home. But they actually got Samuel L. Jackson to read this book, and there's a recording
That's
of
amazing.
It. And he's sitting there just reading Stay the Fuck at Home. And
I know he did the first one also.
Oh, Go to the Fuck to Sleep, he did? I read the first few pages of Go the Fuck to Sleep, and I'm like, yes. Because it's like, the tigers are sleeping, these things are sleeping, but you're not sleeping. Go the fuck to sleep. But I need to finish watching the video. Can I say, despite all this nonsense that I wish didn't happen, there has been some funny shit that has come out of this.
What'd you find?
So there was Stay the Fuck at Home, obviously. Tiger King. Would we all have watched Tiger King if we weren't quarantined?
Right.
No, we would not have all watched Tiger King in 2 days if we weren't quarantined. There's also, do you remember that Adele song, Hello from the Outside?
Yes.
Somebody rewrote it, Hello from the Inside. And it's him being quarantined. Rewrote the whole thing. Absolutely hilarious. And so many memes. All the memes. It's fantastic.
Well, you're living the best kind of life because you can still go to work and still enjoy the quarantine memes. Best of both worlds.
It's fine now. When all my employees start dropping off and I'm working 12-hour days, then we'll see. We'll see who's laughing then, Danny.
I'm not laughing. I'm just saying you're lucky.
But
cool.
I am... we're extremely fortunate that we do still have my income, and of course you losing your income hurts things, right? It definitely didn't make things easier, but we do still have some income coming in, so we just need to rearrange some things and be extremely careful. And
Hopefully nothing big occurs, right?
Hopefully nothing big happens. But that's always a risk that you run. So I am extremely grateful that I work in an industry that is considered essential, that I can stay open, that I left my old job, because if I was at my old job that I was at a year ago, we wouldn't still have that steady income. So it did work out well in that instance.
I will say as well that I'm very fortunate. Like, yes, I'm on that same boat as many others out there of unemployment, but I also have you, I've got Leo, and I've got everyone else out there. All the whole Brocat core.
All of you.
Keeps all of us very, very strong. And that's amazing. And that makes it helps me get myself out of my head. It helps me get out there and talk to some of the Brocat core members, even if y'all are just sharing memes on Discord or I'm seeing what you're tweeting about.
Tiger King
Every bit
memes.
of that helps me out a lot. So I do want to personally thank all the Brocat core members, you as well, Kelly, and then little Leo. When he's listening to this years later, you know, Leo
We're
as well.
We're going to let him listen to us?
He's going to find it somewhere. At some point, he's going to find it.
Because we'll be that famous?
Or he'll just find it like, you know. It's the internet. It never goes away now.
It's
doesn't. Out there.
It really doesn't.
So there you go, everyone. That is it for this week's episode. A little bit shorter than usual, but I think we're making it up with the extra content that come out on Wednesdays as well.
Thank you so much for tuning in this and every single week, and now bi-weekly as well. I am Emperor Palpa Kelly.
And I am expertly unemployed Daniel.
And Brocat Core.
All will be well. I should just be like Jules in Pulp Fiction, walk the earth.
Why do you want to abandon your family?
I guess I have such a sense of like, what now? You know what I mean?
Now you take care of Leo and you have dinner ready when I get home. Isn't that the expectation?
It's kind of funny though to just be like Jules, walk the earth, go where the adventures are, go where I'm needed.
What adventures are you going to find in Florida?
In Florida?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
The police
Wild-ass Florida?
The police are going to tell you to go back home. It's a lockdown.
I'll run into at least one tiger. Or God damn it. Our tigers. Yeah, alligators.
Our tigers.
Although fucking Carol Baskin's here in Florida, right?
She is. She's not that far away.
Possible that one of her tigers got away. Could run into one of those.
Maybe the one that ate her husband.
Well, I'm not her husband, so I'm safe.
She does have millions, though, so maybe you should make a phone call.
Yeah, and risk getting murdered later. She'll take the little bit of money I have left. Hell no.
Just stay away from the sardine oil. You'll be fine.